Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my preparedness stack, if you want to call it that. And these are just a variety of different mid to more advanced level pandemic emergency preparedness items. So some things I don't have here and some things that you might be seeing on the news are a fogger system. So that's that thing that you see, it fogs disinfectant. Those range from between $400 and $1,500. Some run on gas. You can get ones that run on lithium batteries also. So that is something you may want to consider if you have to decontaminate a large area with a chlorine solution. Other things you don't see here are a HEPA filtration system. You can use these to clean the air in your home. You can also use them to make an abatement room, also known as a negative pressure room or a quarantine room within your home. I believe that the Urban Prepper did a great video on that. I'm also going to post another video that shows you how to make an abatement room. This is commonly used for industrial purposes, and its purpose is to isolate the air in one region of a building. So those are some of the things you don't see here. Now, starting on the left here, this is very practical. You can have that in your home. That's just a high quality air filter for your ventilation system. This one protects against viruses or provides some virus resistance. You'll want to make sure you get something which is between 1500 to 1900 MPR. That's microparticle performance rating. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it if you have something potentially floating around your house and you haven't contracted it yet. That might take it out of the air. Next is a portable toilet, because if you do have to confine somebody to a certain part of your house, you're not going to want them to contaminate the washroom. And with that, of course, we have the Reliance double duty bags with a biogel in them. Ideally, the person will be set up to have their own washroom, but I guess that's going to be different in every situation. To go along with that, you have some biohazard waste bags, we have biohazard stickers, and we have heavy duty contractor bags, because these are still pretty thin. They're pretty durable, these biohazard bags, but these are of course a lot more durable. These also do come with their own bags, but you can use any bags on that. Another effective way to help clean the air is with Lysol. This will kill some viruses most of the time. This next item is great for decontamination. Very cheap, got it off Amazon for about 30 bucks. It's just a 7-liter compression sprayer. You may want to get a backpack sprayer. It will give you a larger capacity and it's going to be easier to use. This one has a shoulder strap. So this is going to be great if you have a reusable suit like this one here that I'm going to talk about, and you need to decontaminate that suit, or you need to decontaminate a mask, or you just want to disinfect an area. This will perform a similar function to the fogger I talked about earlier, but it's not going to have as fine of a mist, obviously, so you're going to be using more fluid. Now this is calcium hypochlorite. This is what you're going to use to make bleach. This is much better than storing bleach, because bleach only has a shelf life of 6 months. You can use, I believe the recipe is like 1 tablespoon to this, or half a tablespoon to this makes a gallon of bleach, but don't quote me on that. I'll put the exact mixture on the screen. Then you would take a cup of that bleach, mix that with a gallon of water, and that would be your solution for disinfecting. I'm going to put the exact amount on the screen because I don't want anybody messing up that solution, because if you don't have enough in the solution, obviously the disinfectant's not going to work. We just have some Lysol wipes, some Clorox wipes. Simple everyday practical household cleaning items are going to come in very handy if you're trying to disinfect an area. We also have an industrial spray bottle here and just a standard spray bottle if you wanted to spray disinfectant as well. Now this is called Hibiclens. I've never actually used it. Apparently it's used in a lot of medical facilities. You wash your hands with it and it's supposed to provide you some resistance. Your hands, or whatever you put it on, resistance for a short period of time thereafter. So a lot of medical practitioners will use it if they have to go into a procedure. Of course, they're still wearing personal protective equipment as well. Now it says it's antimicrobial. I think it also does offer some resistance against viruses, but don't quote me on that. This is just another tool in your arsenal to, keep yourself clean. Apparently it lasts up to 6 hours. So it means if your hands were to come into contact with any sort of bacteria, possibly viruses also, the virus isn't going to be able to live on that surface, your hand. This right here is plastic sheeting contractor grade. It's still a little thin. I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and to make a proper abatement room or quarantine area, you should have 6 mil thick plastic sheeting, which is a bit more expensive, and I don't have that. So this is thinner stuff. It's better than nothing, certainly. And if push came to shove, you could use this stuff just like you could use a garbage bag to make a makeshift low-level hazmat suit. There's some people who are doing that now in places around the world where supplies are limited, and you would of course use duct tape in order to do that. Duct tape is going to be very essential. I would have a lot of duct tape on hand. If you did have to make an abatement room, you're going to be using several rolls of duct tape, and just for your cuffs, your ankles, and all the openings within your suit, you're going to want to seal those with some kind of tape. Duct tape will work just fine for the particulates of concern today. Now here we're getting into the realm of personal protective equipment. Now all of these masks have their pros and cons. These masks of this nature, these are going to be reusable. That's going to be their biggest claim to fame, is that you can reuse them. But if you do reuse them, that means that you have to decontaminate them every single time. Some of these also offer CBRN protection. That's chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear protection. Whereas some of these half-mask respirators and non-CBRN respirators only might offer chemical and biological protection. Starting at the most rudimentary level would be your face mask. Now this isn't your standard surgical mask. This is actually an antiviral face mask. That means that viruses, which are carried in droplets or dust particles, when they come in contact with the mask has a certain chemical composition in which inactivates the virus. So inactivates 99.99% of viruses. However, because it's a plain Jane surgical mask, there's going to be a lot of gaps in the mask of the wearer. That means that air can still potentially come in. So this is largely for droplets and of course to prevent the spread of infection from yourself to other people. But it's the easiest to wear. Typically these are very inexpensive, but these are a bit more because they have that antiviral component. Now next is a dust mask. Now the only reason why I have that there is because it's one of those better than nothing situations. The material itself is too permeable to offer any real protection against viruses. And by some people might even say it's not even worth it, that you're more likely to catch some virus on there, and then when you're taking the mask off, and be touching your face. A lot of the problems that occur with face mask is people touching the mask. So once you have the mask on and sealed, you don't want to touch it at all if possible. And if you do, you're using gloves that have just been sterilized or sanitized. But I have the dust mask there because if you see my last video, there may be a possibility to use that in conjunction with other things to enhance your protection level. This is all about resistance. Unless you're wearing a level A hazmat suit, which has a fully self-contained breathing apparatus, there's no 100%. Up next, we have a half mask respirator. This is an affordable, reusable option for some people. You can get the pancake filters or you can get the cartridge filters. These are both P100 filters. P100 filters are very similar to N95 filters, but they are oil resistant, which really doesn't matter so much for biological contaminants. Both of these are going to work just fine. Both the pancake and the cartridge filters are going to work just fine. The cartridges are slightly more expensive, about 25% more expensive than the pancakes. I should add that most of these CBRN masks have 40mm threads. They can take a variety of different filters. Most, if not all, gas mask filters are going to have a HEPA filtration system within them, which will protect you against the particles that might contain viruses. Now, with the half mask, it's important that you do wear eye protection. So that's one of the problems with these types of masks, these disposable masks and half masks, is that they don't offer eye protection. Even though you're much less likely to catch it through your eyes, because it's the respiratory tract that a lot of these viruses prefer, and that's where they're going to take root and start to invade your cells and multiply. But it's still good to have quality eye protection. Now back to the N95 masks. So these are not oil resistant. You can see some of them have this valve on here. Most of them from N95 to N100 are going to have this valve. Not all of them do. Some people like the valve, some people don't. It's going to make exhalation easier. So this is only for exhalation. There's a rubber stopper in there which opens up when you exhale and it closes when you inhale. Now, some people say that that's a potential point of failure, but remember, these are all disposable items, so you can only use them once. So if you are relying on N95 masks, make sure you have an ample supply, because every time you go out for a couple hours that you use it, eventually it's going to start to show some wear, and because the moisture that you're breathing into it is going to damage the absorbent part of the material, they're not going to last that long, just like these. So that's the benefit of having a gas mask, is yes, it costs a lot more money, but you can reuse it an infinite amount of time, so long as you have your calcium hypochlorite bleach disinfectant chlorine solution. Now, the difference between N95, N99, and 100 is the level of resistance. So this is going to provide you 95% protection, anything down to 0.3 microns. N100 is going to offer you total protection, but you're not going to be able to breathe as well through those. So the greater the level of filtration, the less airflow. So if you're a person who has respiratory issues, or you're just not in very good shape, if you have to move fast in an SHTF situation and you have to wear one of these masks, this is going to limit your capabilities. I did a video called running with a gas mask, and let me tell you, running with a gas mask is no easy task. And gas masks offer the ultimate protection, so it's going to be a little bit easier with these, but still, that's something you got to keep in mind. All of these are going to serve some kind of function. At DEFCON 3, you know, I'm going to be using something like this, because going out into public with a fully fledged gas mask is not going to be that realistic in some situations. Now, DEFCON 2, I'm going to maybe a half mask respirator, possibly a full-on gas mask. I would say I'd probably still be okay with this with some safety goggles if, you know, the situation was quite critical, if I had to stand in a supply line or something like that, which hopefully I don't have to, because I'm a prepper, right? Now, if the situation got really bad and we're talking about full-blown aerosolized, airborne, and you need to go out in public, and you know what, maybe even at DEFCON 2 I'd wear something like this. If it got to the point of very high mortality rates, then that's what I'd be using there. Next here is nitrile gloves. So there's some smaller gloves, and then there's some longer gloves. I would say if you're going to be spending a lot of time in a place, you want these heavy duty, longer cuff gloves. But if you're just, you know, maybe disinfecting your home or doing some light duty work, then these would suffice. It also depends on the actual suit that you're wearing, if you're even wearing a suit. You may not be wearing a suit, so something like this may be good if you're just going grocery shopping. They're actually very light. They're translucent, so you can kind of see through them. It would be very hard for a person to even notice that you're wearing them unless they've seen you up close. So that's something a bit more, you know, DEFCON 3 to 5 level. If you don't know what the DEFCON system is, it's just a threat level system that the US military uses for nuclear purposes, but I'm using it for, obviously, pandemic preparedness. Now, over here we have two suits. This is a standard Tyvek suit. I believe this is the Tyvek 400. You can also get a heavier duty reusable Tychem 4000 suit, which is going to offer you even more resistance against chemicals and stuff like that. But for the purpose of this video, we're just talking about biological contaminants. So this is going to offer you a lot more protection. This will offer you, I won't say the ultimate protection, but as far as level C to even a bit of level B hazmat suit protection, this will offer that. It's a much thicker shell. It can be reused hundreds of times, so long as you decontaminate it every time. And of course, I have some rubber boots here, which are, they're not made of anything special. Remember, we're only talking about biological contaminants. This will be a thick enough barrier, a waterproof barrier, like a rubber boot is going to be sufficient to prevent biological contaminants. You use that in conjunction with your duct tape. This is going to be the DEFCON 1 suit. I would say that, you know, this is what a lot of hospital workers are going to use because they're more comfortable, they're a bit more breathable, they're going to prevent you against splashes and stuff like that. So this is what most people are going to wear most of the time. The great thing with a bigger hazmat suit like this is this serves a variety of other functions. So it has more CBRN capabilities. This is the Mira safety face mask. This is the, I don't want to say the most economical because they're still pretty expensive, but they come with a speech diaphragm. They come with a drinking straw. And really, I would say that it's the best all-around mask that you can get if you want everything in it. The Mestel safety masks, as shown here, these are, you know, the top of the hop, but they're also a lot more expensive, especially when you start adding in all the accessories. Now, I don't think you necessarily need all the accessories, but if you're working in a team, that speech diaphragm can be very useful if you need to communicate with people. They'll still hear you if you don't have a speech diaphragm, but you'll have to talk louder, and you know that's going to cause more respiratory stress. So I also have some thicker nitrile gloves here that you could potentially use this, and these would potentially be reusable as well. So right now we're seeing some shortages in the world with N95 masks. You can still find them in a lot of places in North America, but countries in Asia and other countries around the world, they're in short supply. So a lot of this stuff you're going to start to see drying up. Now, one thing I don't have here is hand sanitizer. That's another thing that you might want to throw in your kit. I also didn't show you this here. So this is a zipper door that you could use in conjunction with your plastic sheet. Now that's going to be a potential point of failure for the system, so you'd have to have some sort of protective flap over that zipper door, and honestly it might not even be a good idea. So I just put it there as an idea, because if you do have an enclosure like that, an abatement area, you're going to need to get in and out of it potentially. There's going to be a decontamination medium between you and it, and that's a whole process unto itself. If making a quarantine area is something you think I should cover on this channel, then maybe I'll take a crack at it. But all of these items that you see here, eventually they're going to start to go. I mean, first it's going to be the masks, and then people are going to get wise to the disinfectant stuff. Then they're going to get wise to the compression sprayers and the pool shock, and you know, maybe even the plastic sheeting. The biohazard bags are already sold out in a lot of places. Biohazard stickers can be very important for making sure that other people aren't going to be infected by contaminants. Nitrile gloves, Tyvek suits, these are already in extreme short supply. So if you can get your hands on some of these Tyvek suits now, do it while you can. And there is back orders on these different types of respirators as well. Let me know if you have any recommendations for products that might be useful for minimizing the spread of biological contaminants. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, your one-stop shop for premium, high-quality, brand-name products that have been tried and tested by myself and other YouTube gear reviewers. My subscribers save 10% off by using the coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER, all one word in all caps.